So hi, and thanks for joining me in my shop here. Ooh, it's getting close to Christmas time, just a few days down the road. So I may not be able to make another video until after Christmas. We'll see how it goes. So what I want to do today with this radio, contrary maybe to, or aside from what I said at the end of the last one, is I want to do a little signal injection in the radio. I had the notion here that there's something seriously that's gone wrong with the very front end of the radio. And the rest of it seems to be working okay. So, pull off the antenna here, we don't want that on. So what I'm going to try to do is just inject the signal into the grids of these tubes, working my way back. It's just a couple of spots here to do that with, and just see how the radio performs. So that's a pretty easy thing to do. Got my signal generator running here. Just clip the ground on. Okay. Now the output of the signal generator, the output impedance with these boxes in here is somewhere around 200-300 ohms. That's not very high. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a resistor. I think that might be a good idea. See if I can find them here in my reorganized shop. Oh, here we are. So we'll put in something fairly large. So I think this is a 100K resistor here. That'll avoid applying too low of a resistance to the grid and just kind of grounding out the grid. Probably wouldn't actually hurt. Probably still get a signal coming through. Okay, let's turn this guy on. We're good. There we go. Now once again, we got to give a fair bit of time for this radio to fully warm up, and I still think it's this particular tube that's the slow poke. Now also on this radio, the grid to each one of these tubes is this part here, this little bit of metal here. It's going right to the grid of each of these tubes, this one too. So all I got to do is just touch the grid with the signal generator and we should be good to go. Now there's no, here it comes. It's warming up now. There's no intermediate frequency in this radio. It's radio frequency all the way to the detector. There we go. So I want to, where the radio's oscillating, I just want to stay away from that. So we're up here, roughly 750 on the dial here. I'm going to connect initially right to the antenna. We'll see if we can get 750 to come through here. Let me change my camera a little bit. See the frequency up here. Well, I don't think anything showed up. Yeah, I think it's right there. That's what we hear. So I'm simply going to move the signal from the antenna forward in the radio. Try it right here. How come everything went quiet? What's this before? Something funny with this. Something funny. Okay, let's go to the next one here. It should get quieter as I go, not louder. Ha! There's a difference. Get that nice tone. Wow, isn't that fantastic? Let me turn down the signal generator. So a couple things have happened. One is I think the low impedance from the signal generator has quieted down any other signal that might have been on that grid heading out of the radio. But in its place is the signal from the signal generator. I thought we were hearing it. Where did it go? Now that's what I'm really hoping for when it's hooked up back here. So this is kind of suggesting to me that this stage and forward is working. It's back here where we've got some weirdness going on. Let me fiddle a bit. Shame on me. Yes, I know this is not what you're supposed to do. I'm just curious. Okay, let's go back. That's interesting too. Shh, 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 shh. Quiet down. So that rumbling, I believe, again, the low impedance here is knocking the rumbling out. The rumbling is coming from up here. Okay. Let's try this. Put a different tube here. Apparently you're not supposed to pull the tubes in and out of this with it operating, so I'll cut the power briefly. Put it back in. Wasn't it rumbling like crazy with this tube? Oh, it's heating up. Well, that's a different result, isn't it? behaving totally different from the other two? Or have I lost my mind here? Maybe I've got myself a tube tester here now. If I hook the antenna up to here, we'll be listening to radio. Okay, let's take this off. Out. More carefully now. That tube. So this one definitely says OK on it. Hmm. Well, put this trouble tube there. I think it's trouble. Or is this tube the trouble? Let's go back to the one I had in there. Tune the radio so it's picking up the signal generator, and we'll try another tube in here. Let's just try this over here. So what I'm trying to do is align this gang. Probably be these two. Yeah. This may not make any difference because I have the signal generator connected. Okay, so there we are. Tune it right in. Change that tube. It's the one we used. Let's try this one here. This is OK minus. This tube was also OK minus based on my qualitative judgment when tube testing. So it's there, sounds the same, a little weaker. Okay, well let's see the assumption now. I'll make this assumption. This tube's working properly, this one's working properly. Something funny about this guy. We'll leave him out of the picture. We'll take the I think it's working okay tube based on this. We'll try and go back a stage. Wouldn't expect any difference with this connection here. Okay, so we'll go back one stage now. Hang on to your ears. That's it there. I would say something's not quite right up here. No use even playing with this. But that sounds really good. Let me pull this tube out. Hook up an antenna to this point. Why not? There we go. Let's take So without essentially grounding the grid, it's kind of what I'm doing with the signal generator to some degree. Without grounding the grid, that horrible signal is present. Doesn't matter if there's a tube in here or not. So something is happening that's affecting the grid of this tube. Everything going on before probably doesn't matter. And really everything going on afterwards doesn't much matter. The problem is right in here. A problem appears to be right in here. What could that problem be? I've had two tubes in here. Got the same result. Had a third tube, this one over here. Got a bad result. Don't know what that's about. I mean, it could even be a pin contact problem when I tried that. So I think I really am focusing down on the grid connection to this tube. There's not much going on inside this radio aside from RF transformers transferring the signal, from tube to tube. Maybe a short circuit in one of those, or an accidental grounding in one of those coils. Okay, switch that off completely. Don't have to listen to it screaming. Then, since this is really the same thing over and over electronically, these stages are exactly the same. I should kind of see the same measurement results without even looking at the schematic here. Just try reading the grid to ground. I think it's a good clip lead. Okay. That's kind of interesting right there. They're all showing 0. Excuse me. 2000 ohm scale. Like 7 ohms. 35 ohms. Open. Sorry, I'm coughing here. Very dry in my house. open circuit. That's more what I expect to see. Yikes. I have to fix my throat here. Okay, let's just take a peek at the schematic here, and you can look at each of these tubes, the first, second, third. This is the one I've got in right now. And when I apply a signal right here on the grid, it comes out the radio. It's an RF signal onto this grid, gets detected, and comes out okay. When I remove the lead from here and let this thing do its thing, we get the big buzz. So the big buzz, we can assume the big buzz is actually right on this grid. Here's the RF coil. Here's something I've never noticed before in the radio. Never quite noticed how this was done. So this is how they pick off the feedback they want to come for to create a regeneration situation, even here. So, you know, a real suspicious thing are these are the 2 capacitors, or the 6 capacitors, or 5, or whatever it is that I keep adjusting with my red-handled driver. These could be shorted. These are right on top of the radio. They're filthy. It could be a short in one of these. Check for that. I read the resistance from here and got a 0. How else can you get a 0 to the chassis? This is the tuning capacitor itself. I don't think you'd have a short through there. So look, you would read a short. You're reading the resistance of these coils. Over here I got 35 ohms or something. And here I got 8. If I look long enough, I may find a reference to the resistance of these coils. Now these are identical, I think. These 3. You'd expect to get the same reading, wouldn't you? So how do you get a high reading? I guess it would be this one, maybe. 35 ohms sounds like a coil. But this one I don't. I get a 0. Actually it was 0, 0, 35, and infinity over here, I believe. Infinity. I think I have to look for a short in the grid connections here. Maybe these coils are bad. That's where I'm going to go hunting, I think. Let's just repeat some of those measurements there. Grid of the first tube. 63, grid of the second tube, 0. Grid of the third tube, 0 on this scale. 2000 ohm scale. Try again. This looks like an open circuit now on the first one. The second one, 29 ohms. The third one, 7 ohms. If these controls here were intermittent, I think in turning them we would notice that. We'd hear the sudden pops and changes. If there's any kind of a short in there, I think it would show up pretty quick at this point. And like I say, I would have become aware of it after all the monkeying I've done with this radio. So I don't see any short happening through those. That's not a guaranteed thing I just did, but fairly guaranteed. The grid on the detector. Four megohms. Okay, for we're going to look for shorts in the coils. Let me just unplug the radio here. The coils I'm talking about are inside these cans. To take these cans off and there's wires coming out from under the cans. Maybe they're pinched down. Maybe. Fairly steady. Let's take off this middle can here. Bit of a bigger screwdriver than necessary here. So these connections look, this all looks, well, definitely the blue wires replaced. This is a bad solder sort of deal there. Talk about a bad deal. Wow. This is not very good. Here, how I've got this. Yeah, there's a way of doing it. Now this has been inside of a metal can. I mean, unless somebody's taken the can off and then jammed it, it's not too likely to have a failure unless there's been a short circuit through it, and then part of it would burn out. It just doesn't look like anything's happened to it at all. The insulation doesn't look 100% right in there. Right? So are you in any position to see what I'm seeing? Right in there. Right where this wire goes through the aluminum panel. The yellow one one, the other wire doesn't go through the panel, but it's cracked. Hang on, let me get my close-up camera going here. Okay, let's take a look now. So we're looking at this wire and where it goes through the aluminum. Doesn't look very good. It doesn't look like it's shorted though. And the other wire, well, that could be shorted at the bottom there. I don't think so though. But that other wire doesn't go through. The insulation is cracked right there, right where it's touching the aluminum, but it goes over here to the bottom of a tube, some tube pins. Likewise, this other wire does the same. Someone took the time to change this blue wire. I don't think it was me. Almost certainly because of a problem going through the hole here, like that. Since these wires are cracking, there's lots of cracked wires in here. Is this the problem? Oops, sorry. If I wiggle this just a little bit, the rest of the insulation is just going to come right off. I got to change this wire. Where does it go? It must come out of the top here. Let's see if I can find it in the darkness. Okay, it's coming way down there somewhere. I'm just not going to get enough light in there like that. Let's try the general lighting. There it is, way down there. Oh, that looks really bad. Is that the same one? I believe so. Let me wiggle it a bit. Yeah. Well, it's a little fuzzy, the picture here, but that could be a short. Where's it going? It's just soldering into a terminal back there. Cracked wire. I'm going to have to go on the cracked wire parade here and deal with these things. I've been aware that there's wires cracked in here. I think a few comments have come through too. I think I got to deal with this. Maybe same sort of deal under here. I'll take all these off, examine them all, and replace the ones that are cracked. I'll probably do that off camera, and we'll see what happens when I get that done. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.